I am searching for the bald eagle because it was more American than the bald eagle, and it landed. Wait, are bald eagles bald?
No.
Then I'm not gonna save on fondant. I should have researched that. Well, let's get to it. Welcome back to Cake With It, and happy 4th of July. Wait till you see how easy this cake is to make. The United Cakes of America. In this episode, we're going to bring two of America's iconic cakes and mix them up together. So we got the Devil's Food and the Southern Red Velvet. I completely botched that, didn't I?
Yep.
Should we do it again?
Please don't.
I start by baking a 10-inch Devil's Food chocolate cake, and you can find any recipe that you like online. And then I also baked a 8-inch red velvet cake, and again you can use any recipe you'd like online. So I began by trimming off the caramelization from the top of each cake just to make sure everything is flat. Then I go ahead and carve both cakes into 3 layers, and you could do any layer you'd like. I picked 3. And then next I begin to soak my cakes in simple syrup. Next I'm just going to fill my cakes, and you could use any buttercream filling you want, and just spread it evenly between all 3 layers. And then next I'm going to crumb coat my cake, and crumb coating is important to make sure that you catch all the crumbs, and then it gets it ready for the next coating of buttercream. I'm going to do that for both cakes, and remember you have to chill it in between the crumb coat and then the next coat. Once your crumb coat is done, I'm going to coat it again after it's chilled with one more layer of buttercream, and then that's my final coat. So, you know what time is it? You know what time is it? Chill. 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 Chill your cakes. Chill it. Trust me, when you get to the fondant, it's gonna look messy. So chill, 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 and you chill. I gotta stop winking. Next, I'm going to cover my cake in fondant, and then I'm going to trim away the edges after I smooth it with the fondant smoother. Then to replicate the tree stump, I'm going to grab my ruler, and I'm going to make lines around the cake horizontal, and then with my fondant tool, I'm going to make vertical, deeper lines. Next, I diluted ivory food coloring into vodka and brown food coloring into vodka. Yes, you can use vodka. And I'm just going to brush around to mimic the layers on the tree stump. And I'm going to do that with a little bit more brown, and then mix the brown and the ivory around the cake too until you get the consistency and color that you want. To give it more depth, I grabbed more brown food coloring and diluted it in vodka to make it a stronger concentration, and then added more lines and layers to the tree stump cake. And now the fun part for the eagle head. You could find any marshmallow and Rice Krispie recipe online, or you could buy it pre-made. I made mine, and like I said, find any online recipe. And I'm just gonna add Rice Krispie cereal with melted marshmallow, and then start the process to blend it in to make my own. And then just use a spatula or something to mix it, and it's gonna feel like it's not gonna want to mix. You might have a little mess, but it will come together. And once you're there, you would wear gloves, spray it with a little vegetable oil, and then use your hands to mash it and turn it into a marshmallow Rice Krispie treat. And a quick tip, please do not forget to oil your gloves. At this step, there's no particular way, you just gotta play with it. So you grab your marshmallow fluff or Rice Krispie treat, and then you start piling it up and then shaping the eagle head and the eagle neck. And I'm gonna use my 8-inch cake pan that I used to bake the cake. That way I get an idea of how big I want the eagle to look, and then just carve away any parts that you don't want. And then next you want to melt white chocolate, or you could use candy melts, whatever you'd like, and you're going to coat all of your eagle, and this is what's going to keep it hard together. So you're going to chill that before you do the next step. Now that your chocolate has set, you are able to coat it in buttercream, again of your choice. I use plain buttercream, and you're going to make sure you cover your whole eagle around the head, underneath the mouth, in the neck area, coat it all completely. So the bald eagle, it's not bald. I checked. I'm not a zoologist. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
I think. The bald eagle's not bald, so I don't know why am I disappointed the bald eagle's not bald. I'm learning with this channel. So I'm not gonna save on the fondant that I thought was gonna have a bald patch on, so here's how you make the eagle. Next, I grabbed some brown fondant and I made a good amount, and you're gonna roll it out real thin and use a leaf cutter to cut and mimic feathers. And you want to do roughly 25 to 30 of the brown ones and about 35 to 40 white ones. And then next I'm going to use my fondant tools, and I'm going to just make it look like it's a feather. So I'm going to make lines around the edges. You can use the back of the fondant tool and then scrape it just to make it look like a feather. And feathers are not perfect, although mine do look perfect. So don't forget to share the video. Share the video with your family and friends, like it, and don't forget to subscribe. Help us get to 100 likes. Wow, I'm not shooting that high. Help us get to at least 100 likes so that we could shorten the link. Maybe post like the link, like the long link here, so you can see how long it is. So we need, you know what? I'm not that greedy. I'm not that greedy of a person. You have to be a very greedy person, and I'm greedy in that sense. Next, you want to grab all your brown feathers and you're going to put them all around the bottom, because that's why, ladies and gentlemen, it is called a bald eagle. So you want to layer them all around the neck on the bottom until it's evenly distributed. Next, I'm going to use my leftover feathers and I'm going to trim that and use those pieces to fill in any gaps on my eagle. Once you finish with your brown feathers, proceed and do the same thing with all your white feathers, but make sure you do not cover your eagle's eyes. Make sure you put some underneath and in the back all the way to the top of his head. I'm gonna roll 2 identical pieces of fondant, and I want to make sure they look tapered, and this is what's gonna form the brow and is gonna give it a more third-dimensional look. Next, you put the brow on both sides and you position it. Just press it lightly into the buttercream and it should stick. And then go ahead and add all your other feathers on top of the eagle, especially in the brow, and use buttercream on the brow if you need to, or water, so you can stick the rest of the white feathers. Next, I rolled out some black fondant, and I'm going to use an 806 piping tip to cut out the outer part of the eye, and then I'll use an 804 tip to cut out the yellow fondant that I rolled to make the inner eye of the eagle. And then now we're going to form the eagle's eye. So you start with the black fondant on the bottom, and you're going to use a brush and a little water and just dab a little on it, and then you're going to grab the yellow part and put it on top of the eye, and that's going to glue it together. Then I'm just going to grab a little more black fondant and try to roll it up into a perfect circle. You want to make sure both pieces are identical, and you're going to again use water and glue that into the center to give it the pupil. And the eagle is not happy, it has a firm look, so I'm going to use a knife and I'm just going to trim the top. Now you can go ahead and place both of the eyes. Now I'm going to roll out some yellow fondant, and this fondant I'm going to use to cover the top of the eagle's beak. Is that what you, yeah, that's what it's called. On top of the eagle's beak, and you want to smooth it out, and then with a paring knife, X-Acto knife, or scissors, just go ahead and trim, because that's going to be the top part of the eagle's beak. And like I said, there's no perfect way, just try to visualize it or have a visual like I had my iPad, and just go ahead and cover the top portion of the eagle's beak. You also want to make sure you repeat that on the other side of the beak. And also when you get towards the end of the beak, just kind of fold everything underneath, because we're going to create another beak to make it look even more perfect. So don't really worry about how the tip looks right now. And then next I'm going to roll some more yellow fondant with my finger, and I'm just going to slowly press it and try to smooth it out. I'm going to create a little cheek for the eagle's beak. Now I'm going to roll out some more yellow fondant, and this time I'm going to create, I think is the nose, the two little holes on top of the beak. So I'm going to stretch it out and then trim the edges to make sure it fits. So grab the fondant, lift it, and put it if you need to, just to make sure it's the right size. Next, you could use water, but I used buttercream since I already had it out. And I'm going to position the strip on the bird's beak. And I'm going to use my fondant tool to create the two little holes on each side of the beak. And I'm going to use food coloring, brown food coloring diluted, to color that. Next, I'm going to grab more yellow fondant and I'm going to shape it into a cone. And this is going to be the new tip for the eagle. So you want to sculpt it however you want it. And then all you have to do is trim the old beak, use water, and then glue it in with the water. And all you got to do is smooth outward towards the eagle's beak to make sure you can smooth it out as much as you can. But I'll show you a trick that I have up my sleeve on how to get rid of all the little imperfections on your fondant. Now, even for beginners, this is a good thing to know. So keep it in your back pocket. You grab your fondant and you add water, and then you scrape it with the spatula, adding more water as needed. And all you want to do is create it to a thinner consistency, almost thinner than toothpaste, kind of like Elmer's glue. And then you're going to use a spatula and then fill in all the crevices, all the little holes, all the little wrinkles that your fondant has. And once it dries out, it becomes matte and you can't even tell. And we're back to the yellow fondant. You're going to grab yellow fondant, roll it out, and this will be the bottom of the beak. So you're going to cut it and shape it. If you need to use a ruler, or put the fondant underneath the bird's beak so you can see how long it has to be. Trim it, and then you're going to use water again as glue or buttercream, and you're going to put that underneath the beak, and you want to make sure you smooth it out to the top and then slowly smooth it out to the bottom, trim as much as you need to make it look perfect. And again, you could use the other technique that I showed you so you can make it look even prettier. So this is how I dilute my colors. I'm gonna add brown food coloring into some vodka. Yes, you can use vodka or any kind of alcohol grade. And I'm gonna slowly use a little brush gently to color in both of the nostrils for the eagle, and then make a little line, I should say, a little line on the bird's beak. That way, when you're looking at it from far away, you can see it. So it creates kind of like a shadow. And I don't like to use dowels. I just don't unless I have to. And since this cake is not that heavy, I'm gonna use straws. And you only need about 3 straws. You stick it into the cake and then you trim it before you put the next layer on top. And I was debating about doing a flag or stars, but I didn't want too much. So what I did is I ended up rolling out red fondant and blue fondant with white fondant, using my star cookie cutters, and then putting 3 on each, 1 on the top and then 1 on the bottom, just to give it that America look. You also put 3 straws on the top, but you don't have to, and then you put your eagle and see how it looks. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, the moment of truth. It is time to taste the cake. And yes, that is my real reaction. I just love my red velvet, and as soon as the website's up, I will put my recipe up there for you to try. And again, happy 4th of July, and I'm glad you enjoyed my second video.